You are listening to the SDSU Football Podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your hosts Andre Hagverdian and Paul Garrison. Welcome, listeners, to another episode of the SDSU Football Podcast. I am Andre Hagverdian, and I'm joined, as always, by Paul Garrison. Hope you guys are having a great start to the summer. This is episode 26, following our special Father's Day episode 25, which was with Drew Amavai, father of Leo Amavai. In this episode, we continue our discussion about the Polynesian culture, Samoan culture, with tight end coach for San Diego State, Savai'i Eselu, who, if you recall, Drew Amavai mentioned in his interview as one of the key reasons why the Amavai family, decided that Leo would be committing to San Diego State. Paul had a great opportunity to chat with Coach Eselu recently. I was unable to make it, but Paul was able to hold down the fort solo with his interview, and hope you guys enjoy it.
Well, welcome to the podcast today, Savai'i Eselu. Coach, how you doing today?
Yeah, Paul. Hey, man, appreciate it. I'm really grateful to be a part of this. I'm doing as well as can be, kicking and ticking. You know how it goes, and we're pushing along.
Now, take me back a little bit, man. Before coming to SDSU, you were the head coach of your high school alma mater, if I'm not mistaken, Maunalua High School.
Yep.
What was it like being able to take over for that program?
Well, I'm an alum of Maunalua. Graduated 2007. And got a chance to play ball, and then came back home, and I wanted to, build it from the ground up. It was really good fun. I mean, of course, like anything, it comes with its challenges, comes with its issues, comes with its parents, But I mean, it was a eye-opening opportunity. Personally, to me, it was the ability to understand the ground up. And really, being boots on the ground, so to speak, and being able to really harness your ability to outreach, and get these kids going, and, now here, and, it's essentially the same thing, just at a much higher level.
So you talk about building it from the ground up. The high school had not had a winning season in 6 years prior to you getting there. And it wasn't a quick turnaround. 2 years, you also had a losing record. But then that third season, you go on that magical run to the state title. What do you remember about just that turnaround, ground up, and then being able to see the response from the players and turning them into winners there again? Yeah,
so in the beginning, it was rough because first off is a culture change. You try and fix, the overall atmosphere of the kids before you start trying to fix the kids' football aspect first off. That was a little rough in the beginning, as in anything. And it kind of peaked around that 3-year range where it ends up, okay, bang, it's starting to hit now. And, we finally got it going. We went nearly undefeated, and we did it again the following year. That was truly something special, because you can see the growth in a lot of these kids. You can see the growth of the culture. And it's kind of funny, and not really funny, but it's actually really important on how, we love our culture here at State, and you talk about the culture. It's so true, and it always will hold true. It'll stand the test of time. And it's been really encouraging for me to see it done at this level, knowing that I had something of a sliver of similarity at, the lower level of high school.
Before getting into that culture, man, I got to know about the 21-20 double overtime state championship game that got decided on extra points. I mean, that was there's still a blog, if anybody wants to Google it, that just goes blow by blow. I mean, this has got to be one of the craziest football games that's ever been played. I mean, what is your recollection of that game and then being able to come out on top?
Oh, I remember that game like it was yesterday. We had everything against us, all odds stacked against us. You talk about things going wrong off the field throughout the week in terms of academics, in terms of girlfriend drama or whatever, trying to get these kids to be even keeled and prepared and locked in. I mean, we had a easy dose of everything. Then you fast forward to the game, we started super strong. We tried to run, we tried to air it out. I mean, the whole season, that was our image, was the air raid. And we had all the proper pieces in place, and our QB1 goes down. He gets nailed diving into the end zone, like completely out like a light, UFC knockout style kind of shot. That's where a lot of hopes dwindled right there. Game was paused for about a half an hour. We lost him. Ambulance came on the field at Aloha Stadium, took him out. And then we threw in our immediate backup, who was our slot receiver. And maybe 5 minutes of game time later, he gets hurt. And we were playing Lelehua, who's Lelehua Mules, and they're a solid team. They had they had a D-line that could play all Mountain West, all throughout that line, and we were getting crushed. And so we were trying to do a lot of damage control up until that point. We ended up kind of putting in a guy that never really played quarterback. And fast forward throughout the game, my brother, who's a defensive coordinator, he saved us a whole bunch. And we're trying to, we're going to change it. We're just going to keep this game clock going, and we'll see what happens at the end. Well, little did we know, this bad boy is going to go into 3 overtimes. It was rough because, by the grace of God, man, we ended up getting opportunities. Lelehua missed 2 kicks. They missed 2 kicks to win it all. And it was almost like a sign, like, holy cow, we got to get this thing going. So we throw in our 3rd string quarterback, couple interceptions, being a young guy coming up, couple interceptions. You got to really see it, Paul. I'm telling you, man, you got to see it, because the ball wasn't supposed to go where the ball went. It trickled through 2 defenders. They couldn't catch it. One of my receivers are in the wrong spot, and the ball falls in his hands. And then now the game is tied, and our kicker comes up for the PAT. He nails it right to the middle, 21-20, game over. And that was for the OIA title, for the Division I title. That was the first ever in school history. And to this day, it's kind of funny. Every time I go back home, they always talk about it. I'm like, hey, man, that was all the kids. That was all the assistant coaches. I'm just a face. It was good fun, though.
It sounds like it was all the coaching. Off 2 defenders' hands, receiver in the wrong spot, but in the most perfect spot ever, right?
No doubt.
And I would doubt the receiver is going to tell it that way. But, kind of more on like a somber note, in this past March, while the SSU was having a spring camp, there was the memorial celebration of life for Colt Brennan. He was your quarterback coach. You hired him to bring in as a quarterback coach. Could you just reflect on him and just what you remember from him and what a big place he has in just the culture of Hawaii football?
Yeah, Colt was solid, man. He was always about the kids. He was always about the sport. As everyone knows, he was a Colorado boy, and he ended up coming to Hawaii, and from there had his time in Washington with the Redskins at the time, now Commodores or Commanders, and he ended up really wanting to teach these kids more so the Hawaii culture, the loving nature, but yet the stern style of coaching. And he had his secret. He had his issues, and it was kind of good that we all could be there to help him out and, keep him occupied and keep him rolling and going. And then, as time moved on, we all kind of started branching off into our little avenues. He decided to step away from coaching. I mean, when we heard the news, man, it was surprising. It was very surprising because we knew he was doing much better, much, much better. He was living life to the fullest and doing the best that he can with what he could. I mean, that was definitely a big blow to Hawaii. and all the kids growing up and then watching them sling the ball all over the yard everywhere. And it's like, I mean, one of the Hawaii greats and forever etched in history. So, it was really truly something special to be a part of his journey as well as, vice versa. Truly thankful that I got a chance to work with him, work together, and always cherish those moments.
No doubt. And I mean, I think, what we have heard, we being, East Village Times over and over again, I think it's coming across in how you're, in just the way you're speaking there. The word authenticity is thrown around about you a whole bunch, but we live in a day and age that is the opposite of that, where everybody is looking to say the right thing, to where authenticity is a skill. It's something that people go to workshops to learn how to do. Yeah, which is ironic, right?
Right.
So, how do you, I guess, not get caught up in the mess of all the tricks and all the stuff and have like your actual authentic self come across to, these kids that you're trying to influence?
Well, first off is my faith, my faith in Christ. And it's always been, a huge pillar of success. Matter of fact, the main pillar of success in what we do or what I do in this profession, and honestly, I could take that word out, profession. To me, it's not really profession. It's, heart of a servanthood. And, along with my faith, going back to my upbringing, you talk about the Polynesian style, that's exactly what it is. It's heart of a servanthood, authenticity of servanthood, because, you try and fake the funk in a poly family, you'll get slapped and you'll get, everything will get corrected, and it'll be corrected in a heartbeat. And, that's what I love it now when I look back, because, how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you have the right motive, you have the right mindset, you have the right heart, as you alluded to earlier, it can't be created or manipulated, if that's the right words, because it just has to be instilled from the ground up, from your upbringing, and it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's ironic how people go to, seminars and stuff to learn authenticity, but you already got it, you already got it is what I firmly believe. And that's, the upbringing and the culture.
So tell me a little bit more about that culture, because, we are more isolated than ever before. And yet, that Polynesian, Samoan, Pacific Islander culture has been able to keep, I think the phrase was Fa'a Samoa, like that ability, the ability to live and to work and to excel, not just for yourself, but for everybody.
Sure.
And how has that servanthood, how has that been able to stay alive when there's so much that is trying to, I guess, push you to a different direction?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, especially in today's climate of the world. Oh man, it's hard, because you talk about the elders, the elders in the Samoan culture, instilling it down to, the next generation, which would be my parents. And, continuing that trend, but all the while not trying to accustom to what the world does on a natural scope of things. Fa'a Samoa is essentially a way of life. That's essentially what it means. It's the Samoan way of living. And it's kind of funny. Everyone talks about, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, talks about all that. And it really is true, because no matter what stage you're on in life, whether it's complete, what's the word? Knowledge of the culture, or it's being a part of the Samoan culture because you have Samoan blood, it truly is a way of life to where everything you do will be reflected back on your last name, if that makes sense. Everything I do will reflect back to the Eselu family. Everything Troy does or did will reflect back to the Polomalu family. It's not even just in the Samoan culture, just the Polynesian culture in general. You talk about the Lakalakas. You talk about the Fiaselos. You talk about all the polys that we have on our squad. It all goes back to the family, and utilizing football and kind of enter football. This would be the tool to help the family, and now you also tie that into your faith. This would be the avenue to elevate God, to elevate Christ, and to be able to showcase what our culture is about, which is faith, family, and then, as funny as it sounds, football. And it truly is a way of life, especially in Samoa, and being able to carry your family, carry your culture, and representing your culture. And it really is something special. And in my personal opinion, I think it's what this world really needs. Really needs a lot more of that, a lot more love, a lot more heart of servant, and just taking care of each other, and not always, because this is always good at some points. There's time and place for it, but not always looking out for yourself. Trying to help everyone elevate together and move along in a proper way.
Now, one person who spoke very highly about you was Andre Amavai. And he said, point blank, if you weren't a member of the San Diego State staff, Liu would not be going here, would not be going to San Diego State. He said that you were, that he was handing Liu off almost like to the staff. And he wanted the staff there. Coach Ekelinsky spoke very highly about in this exact same manner, that they cared for Liu in the same way that he does. The idea here, I think I'm hearing, is that he can trust that in you because he knows that everything you do is going to reflect on the Eselu name. Am I hearing that right? That's
100% correct. That's exactly what it is, and what I've told Liu. And it's kind of funny because in the poly culture, it's kind of I guess you could call it a running joke. But everyone, it's funny. It's still funny. Everyone is related, and when Tua, who's actually our cousin, the running joke was, well, Tua's my cousin. All throughout Hawaii, Tua's my cousin. No, Tua's my cousin. Tua's my cousin. Well, Tua's actually my cousin. And it is so important and so vital, especially for Drew, especially for Liu and Alma family, to feel that, well, Liu is my relative and we're going to treat it as such, and we'll go from there. And all the while understanding the authenticity, as we spoke about earlier, the authenticity of, carrying ourselves as Samoans, carrying ourselves through the Samoa way is truly a cornerstone of who we are. It's just a plus that we're all big. It's a plus that we're all strong. It's a plus that the genetics are solid in the Samoan family. But again, greater things beyond that in terms of heart of a servant, in terms of, ingenuity, smarts, all those kind of things. We're starting to put everything together and not just go with the usual stereotypical Samoans are huge, they're athletic, they're muscle guys, all those kind of things. We're putting a lot more components in this thing, to where now, we got guys pitching for the pods, baby. Manaya, shout out to my man, and we got Tony Finau in the PGAs, and it's at some point we'll get on the ice, brother. We'll be able to go be hockey guys too, I hope.
So talking about this culture and this way of being, it doesn't work unless you have a head coach who embodies that himself and who allows that kind of freedom of the personality of his coaches to come out. So could you just speak about Coach Hoke and just how he facilitates and embodies a lot of this stuff, but also how he gives you the freedom to be that authentic person that you are?
Yeah, no doubt. Coach Hoke, I'm a firm believer. I think Coach Hoke's Polynesian. He's got to be Polynesian. He's got to be Polynesian. because the way he carries himself, the way that I've seen his track record, the way that he works every single day, it really exemplifies and resonates who we are, as Polynesians and what we stand for. And I swear, you stay with Coach Hope for 10 minutes, you're going to feel the love, you're going to feel the respect, you're going to feel the honor, and you're going to feel the hospitality in any way, shape, and form, from him. And that's why I'm truly grateful for him, and to me, I mean, within this profession and, just speaking bluntly, I mean, everyone gets paid very well in this profession. But to me, coming from the ground up, loyalty is a huge thing. Loyalty is a top thing, and the way that I see him, and the way that I pretty much see him as what we call uso, brother, and like an older brother to me, almost like a father figure, to where it's like you can learn so much from him within his respective culture, but the way he carries himself, you're dealing with a poly. If that, I know it's kind of funny the way you say it, but it's hard to explain because it really is that, the way I feel and the way I speak and the way I see him. It's important that the head of the family knows what he or she wants. And it's important to understand that within the realm of the Polynesian, it's being conveyed that way. It's not simply do as I say, but it's also do as I say because I'm doing it too. Not so much do as I say, not as I do. And that's a huge point of emphasis for me. And that's what I always tell all the boys that when I go back home to recruit, I'm like, bro, I don't think there's anybody that's like him in terms of the way he carries himself. And, he is Samoan, he is Tongan, he is, he's Polynesian. My man is a poly. It's kind of funny. He's an honorary poly, and we're going to go with that.
I don't think that there could be a higher compliment. And so it's just that you see in him the same embodiment of he is being the head coach at San Diego State, not for himself, but he is doing that for other people and the reflection of what that does for the family and the community that's there.
Yeah, no question, 100%. He's done a tremendous job. And, I fully believe that he will continue to elevate San Diego State together, and not just, I'm going to get mine and I'm out of here. Shaka, aloha, I'm out, It's, he's here to stay, and he's here to really elevate all of us, and that's what's key. You talk about, the leader in the Samoan family. That's essentially what it is. We're going to elevate all together, all 9 to 17 kids together. You know what I'm saying? You guys listening out there, Polly's got big families. So,
yeah, no doubt. So talk about, you mentioned the recruiting part of it. Has that become more of an emphasis maybe in the last few years? Because, there's a deep history at San Diego State of, I'm thinking of like Ed Emo, was 2015 Hall of Fame inductee from Samoa. If you have not had a chance, listeners, to Google that name and to listen to his induction speech, it is as funny, as authentic, and as amazing as I don't want to steal it, but like somebody from Samoa that he didn't think was going to make it in time shows up halfway through, he stops, and just like, that's the most important, the only thing, tells this great anecdote about how he accidentally came to the United States. It is fabulous. But this history that is of San Diego State, how has, that recruiting emphasis, how are you trying to tap into all of these things with the Aztecs?
Well, that's huge because everything is relationships, especially talk about recruiting. It's not ever been, the glitz and glamour here, and that's what I love about Coach Hope, Coach Hall. What you see is what you get, and we ain't blowing no smoke. And this is, if you want to be a part of a crew that works, let's do it. And it's important to understand that, with Coach Hoke and the way that all of this is embodied in terms of recruiting, he's really wanting to make a huge staple in the Polynesian lifestyle, in the Polynesian culture, wanting to make sure that there's a solid presence of Polynesians in the locker room, because, just like anything, a football team is a family, and a family, it ain't perfect, as in anything in life, but on the same end, if you have great character people, you have, great, background, young men with solid families that have brought up the kids and solidified upbringings, the chances of your success is much more greater, and it's football is an extension of the Polynesian life, and that's exactly what it is. And then it truly is a breath of fresh air to see someone like Coach Hoke really pushing that angle, and not just Hawaii, but American Samoa, all the far stretches that he wants us to go. And, it is never just me going back home and, everyone, knowing everyone, but it's me, representing Coach Hoke, and then, like I said, loyalty is huge, and I'm loyal to San Diego State no matter what. We're gonna keep it as such, and we're gonna roll like that no matter what. And that's the authenticity, the ability to build relationships in that manner is all key points that we push. We're gonna tell her we ain't got facilities like such and such school. We may not have money like such and such school. We may not have NIL money. It don't matter, because our perspective is the weights are heavier with rust on it. Lift it. You're gonna run the same lines as Alabama runs. Run it. And that's what I so love about the Aztecs. Is the attitude, but in a good way. The camaraderie, and just that solid living of you tell me when, you tell me where, and I'll be there first. We're going to scrap this thing out, and either I'm going to get knocked out or you are. The way we prepare, we're ready to rumble at all times. And Aztecs are Polynesians too. Let's go.
No doubt. Okay, I love it. So you mentioned, Hawaii, you mentioned The Rock, but what other place? We talking like what? Washington, Colorado, Utah?
Yeah. So you talk about the big presence. Of course, California, a lot of Polynesians have flocked from Samoa, from Tonga, from Fiji, New Caledonia, Micronesia, a whole bunch, Tahiti. A lot of them have flocked, of course, to Hawaii, being kind of like, I guess you could call it the halfway point, continuing on across the pond into California. Now, you look anywhere and everywhere, as low as Chula Vista and as high as, what is the top? What is the base of Canada? Tacoma? No? Something like that? I got to work on my geography, but it's all, that whole side is all polys everywhere. And, as I talk about it, you think about, for whatever reason, he's popping in my head, you talk about Ray Malulunga, and he pops up in Eureka, California, and little old Eureka is like, wait, there's a poly over there? Like, yeah, it's like everywhere, and so our hope and our desire is to stretch as far as, of course, all of California, push up to Oregon, push up to Washington, and now we got Coach Enna, who's he's Samoan too, and now we got Utah, so if we can build that picket fence, which we feel that that picket fence is there for San Diego. We build a picket fence in Utah. We build a picket fence in all of Polynesia, including Hawaii. It's gonna be dangerous with what we got, and shoot, we already got a picket fence in Texas with Coach Koo, Coach Hort, Coach Kyle, Coach Hall. Oh, bro, here we go. That's all the pieces right there.
There's there. But turning our attention to the tight end room, at least on paper, it is the most highly decorated recruiting-wise, one of the most highly decorated recruiting-wise positions on the team. Why are and they come from everywhere. I mean, you got kids from all over the place who want to come be a tight end at San Diego State. What is it about playing tight end as an Aztec that so many of these highly decorated, highly sought after recruits that they want to come to San Diego and they want to be Aztecs?
The physicality. That's the key thing, is physical, because anybody can go run a route and catch a ball. That's, being a tight end, it's in my opinion, it starts from the trenches, and if you're willing to get your face in on action, then I can work with you. We all can work with you. But, and I love what Coach Coop says, and I steal this from him all the time. If he ain't going to bite as a puppy, he ain't going to bite as a dog, and if he ain't willing to put his face in action and be a part of the front five, I don't want him, because like I said, yeah, we can detach him, we can get you out in space and shoot. Joe Schmo can do that, but it's a different kind of beast in this sport to run it like Aztecs do. And that's on defense, that's stopping the ball, stopping the run rather. And on offense, that's pounding the hell out of this rock, and you tie that into the NFL. I mean, look, man, that's exactly what it is, and I mean, you look at Big Belly, you look at guys from previous years, Kahale, Houston, Escobar, and even, his name is evading me right now. He plays tackle for the Niners.
Right.
Help me out.
Brunskill. Daniel Brunskill.
Yes, Brunskill.
Throw David Wells in there. I mean,
Wells, exactly. And it's like, man, the history of the tight ends here, because it's a very unique position, right? And especially if you're going to go NFL style offense like how we do, I mean, you cannot be a donkey and expect to run this position flawlessly. You guys have seen previously years, we move everywhere. The formation changes. Sometimes we help set protection. Sometimes we help, this, that. It's like, it's a never ending thing, and that's what I tell the boys in the room is, I say, guys, you got to be on point with everything, because at any second, the surface can change, and you got to be able to help the quarterback. You got to be able to help the front boys on line. But then all of a sudden, the very next play, now you're out detached with Coop's guys, and you got to be able to try your best to run like Coop's guys, because if you don't, then, I mean, we all hurting each other. It becomes a dangerous point. And that's what I love about the tight end position here at San Diego State is that's the expectation. It starts from the trenches and we build it up from a detached standpoint, so, I mean, I'm excited for what we have in the room right now. And like you said, all walks of life from everywhere. I mean, Texas, Florida, at some point, Hawaii, hopefully we'll see, but, I mean, again, it's physicality is first. Of course, size. Yeah, man, you would love to get the 6'5" plus guy that runs a 4'8", 4'7", 4'6", whatever. But all the while keeping in mind that so is the other 160 or 80, whatever schools in D1A is gunning for, and, it's important as long as they're, 6'4" and above, not a forever 40 and, we're going forward, then we can work with it. But the main thing is physicality. The main thing is willingness to, get your face in on action and let's duke this out.
Well, I mean, you've already mentioned it, but somebody who is no stranger to this podcast, we've had him on a couple of times. But Daniel Bellinger, his start to his NFL career, there's been a lot of positivity around that, a lot of first team reps. A lot of those comments that you just made where they're surprised with how much variety he is able to play with. So just tell us, what was it like coaching him the last couple of years?
He was an extra coach, honestly. That's the first thing that I always say about it. Belly was exceptional in just about every avenue of life as a San Diego State Aztec football player. I mean, he was always doing the right things. In the weight room, he was always working hard with the responses from Coach Hall. On the field, training, he's always in the film room. And like we'd be finishing staff meetings after our practices, and I'm like, Belly, get out of here, go home, And he's like, no, Coach, look at this guy, I think I might have gotten a tweak. And I'm like, brah, It's like 9:30 already. Get out of here. Go grab a burger and call it a day, my man. But he was truly, I mean, the standard, in my opinion. And being able to formulate guys in terms of recruiting based on that standard, I'm excited because now the other guys, the Jay Rudolphs, the Aaron Greens, the Gus McGee's, the Cameron Harples, the guys that got a chance to sit in the room there, JP Murphy, all those guys, they can see how it should be done. And you talk to Belly, he credits it to all the other previous tight ends in there, prior to my arrival. And it's all been the same way, and being able to talk with a few tight ends from the past that came by, and you can feel it. Like, you really can feel it. As weird as it sounds, you feel what they bring to the table.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm talking about like Parker Houston and running into the spring game and just little interactions and stuff. It's palpable, like you said. It is something that you can be around. But another person we had on here was Connor McBride. And Connor is as good of a dude as there can be, but he just got he's moving on to a career in education, just got accepted into a credential program. And so he's going to be, shaping lives that way. As a coach, how much pride do you take when your players go and they succeed in other things off the field that I guess aren't completely related to football?
Sure. Yeah, no, I take tremendous amount of pride in that because, I mean, again, how you do anything is how you do everything. And the way you carry yourself off the field and representing that Aztec, symbol, logo, colors, being an Aztec warrior and representing San Diego State is huge to me, and knowing that, Connor is going to be maybe not so much doing the physical nature of an Aztec football player, but carrying on in the classroom realm and all those kind of things. I mean, that's just as important, because, you look at all these guys all throughout Southern Cal and you talk about what school did you go? Oh, I went to San Diego State. And, as soon as you say those words, it brings up, a tremendous amount of memories, whether it's Marshall Falk or whether it's, I had my first date over here or whatever. There's, it conjures up all these good things that you can pair it up with someone like Connor McBride doing it the right way in the classroom. And, who knows, he'll be teaching, the next generation of kids. And, if he can teach the right things that he has, constantly, showcased and learned here at San Diego State, I mean, shoot, we'll be solid. This world will be a better place, man.
That's it, man. That's it. So take me into that room of the current group, starting with Jay Rudolph. I mean, I think the standard, I think maybe could also be applied to him. I mean, he just goes in there and selflessly does everything that's asked of him. But tell us more about a little scouting report on Jay.
Yeah, so Jay, he's kind of funny. I call him the silent assassin. My man is quiet in the room, but he's sharp. He's sharp. And the thing about Jay is he's not scared to do anything. He'll be able to hold his own. He'll be able to handle his job to the best of his ability. And the thing about Jay is he's always wanting to be better. Now you can say that for all the kids that play college football, yeah. But Jay is a different cat. He's a different cat. He's not so much by verbal nature. But when Jay wants you to work, when you can just see it, as weird as that sounds. Now on paper, I mean, that's not a tight end. He's 6'4", he's 6'3", he looks not even 245. I'm like, wait till my man play, and you're gonna feel the tight end. Don't worry, it's coming. And that's exactly what they see with him. And he was truly. It's kind of funny. He's truly Robin to Batman, and we always have a joke with him. We said, dude, you rarely get a pass this past season, but then all of a sudden you get a touchdown like that. Like, what is going on? And he's like, yep, that's all I need. We're good. We're perfect. I'm like, oh, my man, let's go. But Jay is going to be, he's a staple, man. He's solid. it's my hope that we get to feature him more, with what Coach Heck does. And I mean, Coach Coop's been solid, man. He's been working with I shouldn't say he's allowed us to work with him and his his wide receivers rather. And, trying to formulate us in that mold, and help us, extend that. And Jay's always done a tremendous job, with the feedback that I get from Coach Coop. And I'm excited, man. Jay is going to be something special. And it's solid. Technically, he's a young guy. So
right.
He'll be here for a while. So.
Yeah. Another guy who's been fun the last couple of years to just see his body change. Aaron Green in writing previews and things like that. I was like, is this guy a guard? Is he? He was a big kid, but he always had soft hands. He could always get out, and even at a bigger size, he could get off the line pretty well. And you're just like, okay, this is an athlete. What is he going to do? But he has completely reshaped his body, and you wouldn't even guess this year at practice that this was ever he was ever bigger. So could you just tell us about Aaron and the dedication and the player that he is?
Yeah, so Aaron Green, he's come a long way. I mean, you look at him in terms of body type, he's definitely a Y inline guy. My man is heavy-handed. He can strike. There are things that we are continuing to build, with him in terms of true Y tight end stuff. But it was kind of funny. Coach Mike Goff and I would always approach Aaron when he came back. And he came back out of shape, and it's funny. He'll be okay with me telling this out to the public, but I was telling him, Aaron, you'd be a solid center, bro. At this rate, you'd be one solid, sexy center, bro. Like, let's go. And it was kind of funny because it worked. The whole reverse psychology worked out, and now my man is down to, in the 250 ranges, and he's being able to run with the best of them. And he's understanding now that, hey, I mean, shoot, I messed up. I came back in a wrong manner in terms of body type, and then he's really tremendously grown. He's worked hard in the weight room. And you can see it, man. My man sometimes looks like an action figure. I'm like, oh, take it easy, G.I. Joe, But he's going to be solid. He's a key piece because, I mean, we featured the 13 personnel, which is 3 tight ends, and he got to smell some game a little bit and be able to jump in there, and being able to contribute in a far greater manner now is key. And that's what I've been pushing with them, is how do you make us better as a squad? It's not just wearing the jersey and having your last name on the back of it, but how can you make us all better? How can you keep us the Pac-12 killer? Aaron's going to be special. I mean, he's gotten stronger, he's gotten slimmer, but at the same time, he hasn't lost the mass that I would expect him to have as an inline Y. And again, going back to Coach Coop, we're working with him and trying to make him as fluid as possible. And if we can get this down all together, he'll be a sight to see with the ball in his hand or clearing the way for Coach Hort's guys.
There it is. What about JP Murphy?
JP's been putting his best foot forward. He's been trying to, find his groove of things, and he's going to be a solid addition. There is a big battle going on in the room, that's for sure, as we progress, getting closer to camp. So I'm excited to see where this pans out with JP. I want to see if he's going to answer the call. I want to see if he's going to really push it in terms of competition. I want to see if he's going to really push it in terms of physicality and go from there, because again, there may be a lack of certain things in certain areas for all these individuals, but at the same time, it's like, what are your strengths and what can you bring to the table and play to that, and it's our job as coaches to put them in solid positions that they can succeed.
And so what are some of those strengths in JP's game?
JP's strong. It's hard because I'm looking at the sheet right now. He fluctuates between 240-ish area, sometimes 245 area. I was expecting him to be an inline Y based on his body type. But he's starting to show like H style tight ends. And I mean, would love to, in a perfect world, I'd love to have, H style guys, but Y style bodies, and being able to just rumble with the best of them. His catching ability is key. He's got soft hands, great maneuverability. Would love to see much more point of attack, tenacity. And again, that's a growing process.
Yeah.
But there's slivers of it, and he can contribute very well. Consistency with that, and just going from there will be exponential for him. So,
how about Cam Harple?
Holy cow, that guy can run.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harp is fast. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Harp can run. He's solid, and he's done a great job with Coach Hall, Coach Jurek. He has done it, and I love what Hall says, man. It's like, bro, the boys got to do it. It's not us. The boys do it, and he's gotten big, in a good way. He's gotten solid, and again, looking at that sheet, he's now about 236 to 238. Now, I tell him, I said, bro, if you're going to come in here and expect to handle a 270, 280 pound defensive end, I mean, bro, you're going to fold. Like, it's not going to be good, but he has grown physically, tremendous exponential growth. And, now it's a matter of putting it all together in terms of inline and watching how Jay does it, and then he can be that huge contributing factor. Special teams guy, he can help all the way. Smart, cerebral kid, So I mean, I'm excited with him, and shoot, that's another Texas guy right there, and we'll keep it rolling with him.
What about Gus McGee?
Gus McGee, okay, he's a tricky one because he has the body of a Y, and we're trying to see if he has the tremendous abilities of an H, So what I just alluded to earlier, he would kind of, in my mind, he would kind of be that guy to where you have the body of a Y, but the abilities of an H, and the willingness of an Aztec warrior, and get your face in on contact and let's battle it out. He'll be key because, he has gotten some abilities or time rather in the game last season. So he's definitely got his feet wet, but now it's, I mean, bro, you got to grow up. We got to be a big boy now, and let's play. So I'm hopeful, he can get going at the point of attack in the box. He can hold his own, though. Don't get me wrong. He'll be a huge addition because his reach and his range is long in receiving. Now it's what you do with the ball, because again, you can catch, anybody can catch. We'll turn around and knock somebody out and get a first down.
Right.
He'll be interesting to see as he grows.
Another person we've had on the podcast, Logan Tanner. What can you tell us about the young guy enrolled early and competed this spring?
He's freaking strong. That guy is strong. Now it's getting that, what I call, and I've learned this, what I call a race to maturity. Because technically he should have been Paul. Sorry, I sometimes say Hawaii words. He should have been finished. He should have been done with school. What is today? Well, a month ago. Well, maybe just under a month ago.
Right.
Yeah. Last week. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
He should have been enrolling, or not enrolling, but moving in this week and going from there. But I mean, the sky's the limit for him. Because he has every bit ability of an H tight end. He can flex out, and he's already willing to get his face in on action. Now, the expectation when I recruited him, or when we recruited him, the expectation was he'll hit some extra growth spurt and get taller, because right now he's pushing about 6'3", 6'4", roughly, but I'm expecting his playing ability to be far greater than that, far greater than just tangibles, and being able to contribute in a manner of, well, are you a receiver or are you a tight end? You're such a tweener to where it's like, dang, you can, do it all.
Yeah.
When you see him, he's another action figure looking guy. I mean, that's solid, man. With Coach Hall's workouts, I mean, he's really fully committed, and now it's putting it all together. And like how I said earlier, trying to, I guess the best word would be trying to adjust his mindset to the college level. So should be interesting.
Last, definitely not least, transfer Mark Redmond.
And Mark is every bit of a Y. He's solid. My man can catch, and he can catch anything and everything. It helps that he's, 6'5", maybe 6'6". It also helps that he got super long arms. Would love to keep him roughly where he's at. He's looking about 250s, 255s. I mean, my man is smart. Like he's very smart to where he's so knowledgeable to where he knows what's going to happen pre-snap. He knows the likelihood of this combination block. He knows more than likely what's going to happen here. It's like, dude, you're a different cat mentally, man. That's solid, And I mean, shoot, that I say all that to say this, that he'll be able to put himself in great positions to succeed on the field, And I mean, his range is tremendous in the passing game. I would expect him to be a big time target this coming season. Just sheer ability to run, sheer ability to be able to catch with such a huge radius. And, now, it's my hope that when we coach him up, we turn him into what I always tell them when I played. We turn him into like Jeremy Shockey style, and it's so funny. And it's kind of funny that I'm here that Belly's at the Giants.
Yeah.
And Shockey was always the big guy that I'd always bring up when I played. And I was like, hey, bro, Jeremy Shockey,
Do they have any idea what you're talking about?
Some do.
Okay.
And they just kind of look at me like, who got shocked? Like, no, Jeremy Shockey. Like, and then I just go off on a tangent. Here, Tony Gonzalez, Jeremy Shockey, Algie Crumpler, like, all these guys. And it's like, oh, well, you never mentioned George Kittle. You never mentioned, Travis Kelce. I'm like, brah, before the tight end unloaded, like how they've been unloading now, look at these guys. And shoot, before my time, there was other guys too. But it's like, no, my specific thing is looking for the right guys that the Aztecs ask for. The guys that really block first and get them out of space. But at the same time, play bully ball and don't get punked when the ball is coming. And that's what I love about the previous generation of tight ends. And that's my hope that we can get this going and keep it flowing here at San Diego State and just, be that huge focal piece, because again, it is a unique position and you're required to do the best of both worlds. And, it's funny. Heck, let us get a snap from under center with Belly against Boise.
Right. That's right.
Oh, yeah, we can do it all, baby. Give us a snap too, man. Let us throw a ball now.
Last question, man. You've been so generous with your time. New stadium, man. It is around the corner. You drive by, it looks like a stadium. Everything is coming together. What are just your general thoughts for the program and what the new home is going to mean for the Aztecs?
Well, first off, how excited and happy I am for San Diego State University. Because, to my take, football is your front porch. If you want to put an analogy of a home, but, now you put in this actual literal home, and that thing is beautiful, man. It's solid. It's perfectly set for the community. It's perfectly set for essentially us being the greatest show in town now that, the Chargers kind of said aloha and went to, Los Angeles. And I guess you could say it was sorely needed, but just seeing the starting point, and from what I understand, in its infancy, this is what it is, this is the plan and all this kind of stuff. And now you see it to fruition and you see it, it's like, oh, bro, this is our home now. We're going to, defend the mesa, whatever it is, we're going to defend this bad boy and it's going to be ours, and that's what's so exciting. And that's what I feel from, the San Diego State family here, is, don't get me wrong, we absolutely love that 2-hour drive to Carson. That was the best in the world, baby. We love the traffic on a 5, but it's going to be so exciting to see all of San Diego packing that house.
No doubt. Thank you so much for the interview and for all of the insight. And, great luck with the rest of the summer and everything that you are about. And hope you're able to get maybe a week or two in there to decompress before fall camp, man.
Solid, Paul. Yeah, man, I really appreciate your time as always, man. You guys are doing a solid job, and we're expecting great things from our program. As we continue to try our best to represent all of you guys, and it's going to be something special because it's already been something special, and let's keep up in the ante.
Our interview for this episode was with Aztec tight end coach Savai'i Eselu. Appreciate Paul for taking this one solo. I was still finishing up my Euro vacation. Wasn't able to make it, but listening to it was definitely the timing could not have worked out any better, considering we had just spoken to Drew Amavai for the Father's Day episode, talking a lot about Polynesian culture and football and how he had a relationship with Savai'i. And that helped Liu commit there. And so I just thought the timing of it just worked out perfectly, having them on back-to-back. What were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the first thing is, as far as the piggybacking from, the conversation that we had with Drew Amavai, it was very eye-opening to hear basically the same comments about what the culture is, what's important. Excuse me. And I think that they also complemented each other very well. They put kind of twists to it and ways to it that allowed me to understand, what each of them were talking about. So I think combined, it was just very educational, very, very good. As far as Eselu, I think, we've been wanting to talk to him for a long time because so many of the recruits that we talked to, they mentioned him as someone who's really authentic, who's important to them, who's somebody that they really enjoy being around. And it took, it took asking questions about him as a high school coach, winning the game 21-20, and him doing all of that description to say, oh, this is what they mean. And so just that he has that kind of a personality that even, over Zoom can come across so personable, welcoming. And so I just thought as a person, I think that's the biggest thing that jumped out to me about Savai'i.
My favorite quote of the interview, and maybe it's my favorite quote of any interview on the podcast.
Whoa.
If you try to fake the funk in a poly family.
Yeah.
I was cracking up when I heard that. When he was talking, you asked him about authenticity, and he was talking about that was such a great line. Fit exactly what he was talking about and what you had asked about, but it was just I don't know. I love that line. And then him talking about how Coach Hoke is like a honorary Polynesian, based on how the similarities with the Aztec way under Coach Hoke with the Samoan Polynesian way. I just thought it was really good parallels, and definitely I can see why a lot of recruits, a lot of players speak highly of him because of he's well spoken, he's articulate, and he does come across very authentic and genuine when you're talking to him.
Yeah, and I think though too, just to piggyback on what you're talking about, he talks about how Polynesians they can spot someone who's fake, amongst themselves. But then going back to what we talked about with Drew Amavai and the necessity that somebody like Eselu being on the staff as one of the non-negotiables, you see that same ability to kind of spot a fake elsewhere might not be as easy, right? And so I thought that that contrast was really interesting. I too appreciated the comments that he said about Brady Hoke. And, I definitely think that's been our experience with him, that Brady has been very welcoming. And, he says you spend 10 minutes with them and you're going to see honor, you're going to see respect, you're going to see that. And those things do come across even, little media members of these Village Times. But pushing to the tight end room, I always like the way coaches speak. It's always cracks me up, because when you got the guys at the top of the depth chart, they just are glowing about them. They're just, oh man, Jay Rudolph, oh Mark Redmond, oh, and then you start getting further down the thing, and they're like, well, he does this good, but I'm also gonna have to mention these things, and just that constant thing of trying to get them to push and to be different. But I thought it was pretty exciting when he was talking about Cam Harple, and the first thing that came out of his mouth was, that dude's fast. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's kind of, and he even mentioned it, that's always kind of been a little bit of a question mark about tight ends at SDSU. Are they looking for the guy who can just fly from that position? And so to have somebody who's that fast, I think is pretty exciting. What jumped out to you as far as just his comments and assessment of the tight ends?
Well, it's clear to me that Mark Redmond is that primary guy that they expect to kind of replace Bellinger with that primary receiver role and blocking, that number one guy, based on a lot of what he said. I thought it was interesting when he was talking about Logan Tanner, how strong he is.
Right.
Which is something I wouldn't have expected. I would have thought they would have been like, he's not strong because he's young. He's more of a pass catcher and he's not a blocker. But he's another guy. Last episode, we talked about Liu adding 15 pounds during the spring. It seems like Logan Tanner is another guy that kind of got into the Coach Hall mentality weight room, and he's working on that. So he did say, he has a race to maturity. He called it for him being so young, and he called him a tweener, right? A tight end, wide receiver. So a lot of that, we kind of all knew that part of it.
Right.
But I go back to that spring game and that one catch he had, down the middle of the field for like 40-something yards. Yep. That shows that he has the ability to get behind secondary, which I can't remember the last time a San Diego State tight end had that ability. I mean, it hasn't been since I've been watching San Diego State football. You watched it a lot longer than I have. But I'm excited about him. It's probably not going to be this year. I think it's safe to say Logan, unless there's a lot of injuries, that Logan's probably not going to have a lot of playing time this year. But moving forward, I think 23 and beyond, excited for his potential.
Without question. And I think that's exactly what you want to hear, right? When we were talking with him in the first interview before he got on campus, we were like, hey, you're in San Diego State, you're going to have to block, you're going to have to be physical. And he's like, well, I'm a really good pass catcher. And we were like, yeah, but at San Diego State, you're really going to have to block, and that's going to have to be right. And then we see practice number, first press conference, and we of course brought him up. That's what they said. He said, oh man, I think it was Jeff Eklinski. And he said, he's got to block. Will he go in there and will he put his head in there and really go there and hit? And he said, at the end of all of it, what he's known for is being really, really strong. And so I think that's exactly what you're hoping that you would hear. And, I think he also talked about hoping that there's maybe a growth spurt from him and that he gets a little bit taller down the road and becomes more of that, prototypical Daniel Bellinger size kind of tight end. But I thought Aaron Green, those were great comments. The ribbing that the coaches would give him, and hey man, you're going to be a great center. You're going to be a great center. But that he was able to completely change his body around. And I thought that was really good. And let's see, I'm trying to think of anybody else. Who else jumped out to you?
JP Murphy.
Yeah.
Talking about him pushing through the competition, starting to show some H-style traits, soft hands, great maneuverability. So he's got potential out there as well. And Gus McGee has reach. His range is long. So he had obviously great things to say about everybody and some things that some of them need to work on to get on the field. But the talent's there. Maybe not a Bellinger, fourth round draft pick next year talent, but there's some potential from some of these guys in a couple of years for sure.
Yeah, and I think one dynamic that that, the offense likes to be, right? They like to be varied. That's something that Jeff Ecklincy likes to do. Except for the one catch for a touchdown against Utah, Jay Rudolph was not used at all. And the idea that they could potentially have two tight ends who could catch, I think presents the opportunity to be more varied. So, whether you have a Y up on the line of scrimmage, and then you also split somebody out and you have that ability to shift in motion and things like that. I think it allows more of that variety, and you're able to spread them out and, just use them in different ways. And obviously the more tight ends you get on the field, they obviously can block you go into the RPO game. And if you have a tight end up at the line and you have a tight end split out wide, and then you're able to run the bubble screen to the receiver, that's two really good blockers out there, coming down and doing those things. So, I mean, there's a lot of different variety that it can be. And I think with Rudolph and with Redmond at the top, it presents something that, they didn't have last year, which was if Bellinger wasn't in the game, there was not a threat from that position. And so that I think that, obviously he played a lot of snaps, but being able to have that variety, being able to use the whole field, both sides, vary the looks that they give because of that, I think that's pretty exciting. But I think, you see that this position does seem set up for years to come. I mean, all of these guys are so young. Redmond, of course, being the exception, but even there, he's got a few years. And so, it looks like it has the potential to be the strength, but then going back to the comment, it's a race to maturity. It's a race to maturity. Where are these guys going to fill in on special teams? Where are these guys going to fit in? They talked about Aaron Green getting some snaps in the 3 tight end sets until Dom Godino came back, and then he became that person. But now they're going to need Aaron Green to be that person, assuming, right? And so how does all of that stuff play out? I think it's another position where the Aztecs are developing a lot of talent, and that camaraderie and that competition, in theory should make everybody better.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to do it for another episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this one as much as we did, talking to Coach Eselu. We're getting close to, the start of the season, right? The grass is in at Snapdragon Stadium. A lot of excitement on social media on the day that the grass is put in. We're less than 3 months away from game 1. And as we get closer and as we get further into the summer, look out for some season preview articles coming out your way from Paul and I and the rest of the EVT staff. So exciting times as we get to September 3rd in game 1. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll talk to you guys next time. You are listening to the SDSU Football Podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your hosts Andre Hagverdian and Paul Garrison.